Ford started making cars 120 years ago and dominated the industry for much of that time. During that time, they built a tremendous company with factories in 22 countries and sold cars in more than 125 countries. In 2021, Jim Farley announced a monumental strategy shift to electrification, and since then he has been undoing and changing over 123 years of work. He has only been focused on one thing: letting important brand qualities go and having them recalled, like he did with the Mustangs and F-150s. Investors are worried, and rumors are starting to circle. So what's going on? And will Jim Farley be fired? Join us as we look at this situation and what it could mean for Jim Farley and the company. Ford has had a rough couple of years. Jim Farley has been the CEO of Ford Motor Company since October 2020. He came into the job with his full focus, having worked for Ford in executive roles for many years. Even if we pretend Farley didn't learn anything during those years, he's been the top boss for almost 2.5 years, which should be enough time to get up to speed, but it hasn't worked out for him. When Ford said in February that its pre-tax profits for 2022 would be about $1 billion less than expected, the CEO freaked out a lot. Ford still reported $10.4 billion in adjusted pre-tax profits for 2022, even though they had predicted at least $11.5 billion in October. This is normal, but it was enough for Farley to let loose, even though he should probably be the one to take the blame, at least on paper. He said, "To say I'm frustrated is an understatement, because the year could have been so much more for us at Ford." Farley said on an earnings call with analysts last month, "We have deeply rooted problems in our industrial system that have been hard to root out. Frankly, the strength of our products and revenue has covered up this dysfunctionality for a long time." Perhaps Farley is upset with himself because he was hired to help fix the quality problems that plagued his predecessor, a man who used to run a furniture business. As he said in December, it will take years for these problems to be fixed. Take years or even decades to build up or break down. Take Hyundai as an example. For many years, it sold very bad cars in the United States. Eventually, it changed its image and is now one of the most trusted automakers in the world. Ford, on the other hand, is in a strange place. Many customers like Ford products and think they are very good, but there is no denying that the company has a quality problem. Farley was given a promotion to fix this, but it looks like the job is getting too big for one person. Ford's reputation hasn't really been hurt by this yet, and even though they've had recall after recall, people still think Fords are pretty well-built American cars. This could start to change very soon, though. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that Ford has had the most recalls in the US in the past 2 years. This is what Automotive News said in a recent article about this issue. Ford's expensive quality problems were in the news again in late February after it was said that the battery of an F-150 Lightning caught fire during an inspection. Phoebe Wall-Howard of the Detroit Free Press said that the fire was caused by a short circuit. Another unrelated problem could affect up to 100 trucks that have already been sold. Again, this is not a fire problem, it's something else. The pickup truck might not be able to go into drive, or it might lose power while moving. Talking with the Detroit Free Press, Martin Gunsberg said that, "We keep track of vehicle data to make sure our vehicles work as expected on the road. We have found that the high-voltage battery in some vehicles isn't working as it should, which could lead to a drop in performance." This story was first told by CNBC, which says it's not a recall yet but a customer service action where they're still looking into things. Ford spokesman Marty Gunsberg said in an emailed statement that this is not a safety recall. Instead, it is a proactive investigation to help make sure that customers of the affected vehicles don't see a drop in battery performance and get field parts for testing. This is just one of a growing number of quality problems that Ford has had in recent years. If you made it this far into the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more Ford news. According to Farley, the company plans to redesign its manufacturing process in the future to fix these problems. Farley's biggest mistake was saying it would take years to fix Ford's quality problems. Ford is one of the largest and oldest automakers in the world. The fact that the problem won't be fixed sooner is mind-boggling. The cost of production is another big problem for the company. Farley said, "We can cut costs and lay off people quickly, and we'll do whatever it takes. But the truth is that if you don't improve the efficiency of engineering, supply chain, and manufacturing, the problems will come back. Ford CFO Lawler also said that the company has a cost gap of $7 billion to $8 billion compared to many of its competitors. He said that a cost gap is made of $3 billion to $4 billion in materials costs, $1 billion in warranty costs, and $3 billion in structural costs. From what I've read, it sounds like Ford is in a lot of trouble. They need to cut material and labor costs, but that's not easy to do. The company needs to completely change the way it does business. There are rumors that Ford's employees are unhappy with how things are going, and who can blame them? Ford also needs to completely change the way the company is set up, not just cut costs and staff. Right now, the company has a terrible way of running things. During the last earnings call, CEO Farley said, "We have deeply rooted problems in our industrial system that have been hard to root out. This isn't an excuse, but it's the truth, and we're working on it right away. These kinds of problems can cause the plan to be significantly delayed, which would make losses even worse." The bottom line is that by breaking his promise from a few quarters ago, Farley has already gotten his mulligan. The CEO might lose his job if Ford's new plans for the business don't work out as expected over the next quarter. If he needs to give a long list of excuses again, it will be hard to believe what he says, and Farley might just end up losing his job. Before Mark Fields and James Hackett, Bill Ford had shown that he was willing to fire CEOs. Alan Mulally, who ran Ford from 2006 to 2014 and had a good track record, was the last CEO with a good track record. Bill Ford said that he still has full faith in Farley and that he thinks Farley is the best person to fix the company's problems. He said, "This is the best leadership team I've ever seen. Jim is a great CEO, and he's put together kind of an all-star team." Frankly, Farley has had some good times as the CEO of Ford, and he still has some good ideas to help bring the company back to its former glory. According to Farley, teams have spent the last few months digging deep into where Ford needs to go, and we can expect updates on this exercise throughout the year. Ford has tried to cut costs in the past, but the problems and inefficiencies keep coming back. Now, the CEO wants to make changes that will last and will be subject to constant evaluation and monitoring. Ford's first 3 EVs to hit the market, the Mustang Mach-E, the F-150 Lightning truck, and the Ford E-Transit, were all hard to figure out. Farley admitted that they didn't go into the EV market fully prepared. He said, "We didn't know what we didn't know. Mistakes were made, like making electrical harnesses that were too long and heavy." But, according to Farley, the lessons are being used to guide the development of the next cycle of EVs. They will also rely more on software to improve their features and capabilities and software services that will bring in more revenue. Tell us what you think about this issue, and if you think Farley should be fired in the comments section. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing to our channel for more videos.